Shalom, all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. B'Shem Rachakodash. My name is Jacobo from Plaintables Camp. This is a Foundation for Economic Education, or fee.org. This is an article. So if you want to search for it, just type that in. I can't put links because YouTube disabled it, and it seemed like they don't want to give it back to me. It's been over like 4 months probably, and he's still not giving it back to me. It says, what's going wrong with the FedNow? Everything. Thought the Federal Reserve raising interest rates was bad. Wait until they freeze your ability to get paid. So this is Sunday, August 20th, 2023. So this is it's a website for economic education. Learning Center. Right there. All right, so Connor goes into the power of the new system that's coming in. It says, despite the aforementioned conveniences being a part of FedNow insured business or bank, will only give the federal government more power over your personal finances. As a customer, you have little say, if any, in the program's rollout. If your bank opts in, you do too. So basically all the banks, they're all private, and they all have to opt in to the new system of the Federal Reserve, because they're regulated under the Federal Reserve. All right. That means your bank information and monetary transactions will be more available to and facilitated by the FedNow system. So this is the Federal Reserve, which is also a private company, is making a instant payment system, instant authentication system. Instead of taking your transaction to settle for days, they'll settle within minutes or immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right. So you don't have a say-so whether your bank is in the FedNow system, the new system. This could make heightened federal surveillance on citizens and businesses a very real possibility down the road. FedNow could potentially replace private services like PayPal and Venmo if businesses decide to go all in on the new endeavor. Let's hope that doesn't happen. FedNow allows participants to seamlessly transfer funds to one another without delay while providing government-level security and support across various payment activities. Think of it as a helping hand by Uncle Sam for when you order off of Amazon or make an ATM withdrawal. FedNow will also be implemented for people in the private sector who have bank accounts tied to a Federal Reserve bank. As FedNow has been given the green light after successful trial runs with select volunteer companies, we are now seeing its early adoption with institutes like J.P. Morgan, Chase, Wells Fargo Bank, U.S. Bank, BNY Mellon, and many others, all banks that customers trust to hold their hard-earned money. FedNow's current soft launch has dozens of various participating commercial banks across the country running customer service testing and live transactions to ensure everything goes swimmingly. Even though the Federal Reserve itself says the government will not have access to individual accounts and cannot control how they choose to spend their money, the very notion of federally operated transfer system determining how quickly and when we get paid is a little too close to home. Yeah, because now the transfer system is done by the actual banks. With the FedNow, the transfer system is going to be done by the Federal Reserve. See, I didn't really think about that before, but that our transfers are done, say, quote unquote, privately, even though they can easily just share our information. Our banks can share our information. It wasn't actually done by the Federal Reserve. I didn't think about that before. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it makes sense because the Federal Reserve doesn't directly monitor your transactions. Your bank monitors your transactions, and they have to get the contact the bank to get your information. Yeah, that's how it normally works. So it says the very notion of federally operated transfer system determining how quickly and when we get paid is a little too close to home. All right, so that's pertinent information right there. The reserve promises that it won't peek into people's accounts. Who's to say they can't now that they will have access to? Now they will have access to any and all information allotted to them by participating institutions. Yeah. That's pertinent information right there. See, before, without the FedNow system, they actually have to subpoena, like if you're getting sued or whatever, or you got a money laundering case, the Federal Reserve doesn't directly know. The government doesn't know. The bank has all that information, and they can't get that information unless you commit a crime. Then they have to work with authorities and get your bank records. And then they start printing. You show up to court and they have a list of all your transactions and transfers. All right, the Federal Reserve doesn't have that. Your bank has that. So now with the FedNow system, the Fed is settling payments within seconds or minutes. So the Federal Reserve is the one. They have access to your account. If they're choosing how fast it's being settled, and it's just an excuse. Like, these people can settle their own shit at the speed they want to settle it at. They don't have to be a federally regulated system. It can still be, which is still a private bank, but it can be a private bank settling system. So this is just a farce to get total control. All right, because what the Federal Reserve is doing with FedNow, all these individual banks can just do amongst themselves. Another thing probably people didn't think about. It's witchcraft. All right, the Federal Reserve isn't like a special organization which they only have the technology to do something. Your Wells Fargo bank can settle payments instantly or within minutes. They don't have to do this 3-day thing. All right, or 2 days. All right. This isn't like a special bank where they are the only ones that can settle a transaction in instantly. But they're using their sleight of hand to give you that notion. Like, if you want payments settled quickly, you want security and all that stuff, okay, your bank can do it by themselves. They can get together and it not to be, the Federal Reserve isn't the one that has to do this. All the banks could get together and make their own fast payment system, instant payment system. All right. It says, it's easy to see what a problem this could create down the line. For example, with those habits cut against the grain federal initiatives. For example, take the current administration's, I believe, Biden administration, Biden-Harris, this 2023 article, obsession with pushing ESG standards on businesses and employees. So you would have to go do research on that and on the ESG standards being pushed on businesses. I looked it up, and it's economic. What was it? Some environmental, social governance. So whatever that is on businesses to impact social, have a social impact, standards used to measure an organization's environmental and social impact. So I guess they're rolling out some voluntary policies or forced policies. I don't know what the Biden administration is pushing that program, or how they're enforcing it, or making statistics on individual businesses. So Foundation for Economic Education is saying, well, they're rolling out that study or test on certain businesses. What if the Fed deems you are non-compliant with their environmental, social, and corporate governance rules? What's to stop them from freezing your ability to buy product or withdraw cash? Even worse, you could do nothing wrong and suddenly find your ability to transfer or receive money hindered if your participating institution does something the government doesn't like. Exactly, because they have to have tools in place to combat fraud. So if the let me highlight this first. Highlight that. Right. So with every transfer system, you have to have a way to stop the payment. All right. The traditional banks, which they're too lazy to make a fast payment system, so they're all relying on their god, the Federal Reserve, to make this fast payment system, which they don't have to do. They can just make their own payment network, settle it fast, or maybe it's some law that they have to be regulated by, the speed has to be regulated under the Federal Reserve. I don't know what the laws are, and they don't. It's not like they tell you. So it's, what's to stop them from freezing your ability to buy products or withdraw cash? Even worse, you could do nothing wrong and suddenly find your ability to transfer or receive money hindered if your participating institution does something the government doesn't like. And they could shut the bank down. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen though. But they're all going to be pledging their allegiance to the Federal Reserve because they're depending on them to make a fast payment system. All right. So if they are controlling the speed and the settling of the transaction, they actually control your account. The actual bank doesn't control the account anymore. All right. Now, what they could say is, oh, they're only in charge of the speed, not whether it actually gets cleared or not. They could try to split it like that. But it's according to the article that the FedNow is making the transaction very quick, instant settling. So if they're controlling the speed of it, I would think they would control whether it gets settled or not. But of course, they can try to split it. Oh, they're not in the control of whether it settles or not. They just control the actual speed and the security. Where the bank, we actually decide whether it settles or not. Okay, that might be the other argument there. So just want to be fair in my assessment. All right. But either way, the system that's going to come in place is going to be, they're going to operate together. There's going to be no partition. If there is some type of partition, they're going to get rid of that bank. In Revelation 13, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. So the new financial system, all right, which is going to be the MOTB in your hand. All right, that's going to be the medium of exchange. You're going to have to get that put in your hand, and that's how you access your new. That's how you want to access your money, if you're not of the elect. All right, and if you don't take it, you're going to be put to death. All right. The image of the beast is the new system. All right, which is part of the system we're referring to here is the new financial system. All right, that's just one part of the new system of the beast. All right, we're going to enter into a totalitarian system where everything's going to be controlled and watched closely by the government. Movies you can reference is 1984 movie, Minority Report, Handmaid's Tale, the Matrix. All right, good movies to watch. Minority, I said that. Total Recall, Demolition Man. Those are good movies you can look into. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their forehead. All right, so that's the part of the image of the beast, which is the MOTB. All right. The other parts would be, the guidelines, rules, laws, regulations of your current government imposed upon the people. Those rules and laws imposed upon your people, upon the people. So in short, your government's laws. All right, you have to adhere by them. And he had power to give life into the beast, image of the beast. That the image of the beast should both speak, and it calls as many as it would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right, so wherever you live, all right, when they get on board with the new money system, with the new totalitarian system, if you go outside the guidelines of your government, you will be killed, whether you take the implant or not. All right, because the implant is just one part of the worship of the image. All right. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and their foreheads. All right, because don't be under the impression that if you just take the implant, then you good. No, the new system is more than just the taking the implant. All right, it's not going to be good it's going to be the wars, insurrections, famines. All right, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 which is 666. Chi Xi stigma. And we got Mark, Strong's numbers, G5480, which is Charagma, goes back to Charex, which is, when you look it up, it's things carved, so we know it's going in your flesh. Mark branded upon horses. For mark stamped on the forehead, the right hand, the badge of the files of the Antichrist. Forehead or right hand. All right, so that it's cut into your flesh. Things carved, sculpture. So it's not just like going to be like on a surface level. Go down here, see a scratch, an etching. So it's going to cut into your flesh. So when it says right hand, something that's going to be cut into your. It's going to be etched, scratched into your flesh. All right. That's why we believe. That's how we know it's the MOTB. And within the coding, they hide the 666 in there. All right. And it says in the 17th verse, you won't be able to buy or sell. So that was the reason why I brought the article out. And that no man might buy or sell if he had the mark. All right. So it says the very notion of federally operated transfer system determining how quickly and when we get paid is a little too close to home. All right. Because the Federal Reserve currently does not determine that. All right. Your bank does. The Federal Reserve doesn't go like when you make a transaction, it doesn't go to like the Federal Reserve. Okay, is this such and such allowed to do it at this current speed at this time? It doesn't go to the Federal Reserve. It all happens with your bank. All right. Now the Federal Reserve, it doesn't. It just doesn't go to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve promises that it won't peek into people's bank accounts. Who's to say that they can't? Now, who's to say that they can't? Now that they will have access to any and all information allotted to them by participating institutions. So it's going through your bank and then it's being routed through the Federal Reserve or FedNow and then coming back to your bank and then coming back to you. Then your money comes out. But then they're eventually going to get rid of the cash. So now it's going to be, then your transaction is approved through your debit card. Then your transaction is approved through your hand. All right? So this is a pretty powerful article. Again, fee.org, Foundation for Economic Education. And you can just put in what's wrong with the FedNow. What's wrong with FedNow? Foundation for Economic Education has come up. right there. You can see the address there. And that's it. I'll leave it there. You get the point. It's yeah. So it's the microchip. It's that for buying and selling, and it's also the new system, a new way of life. The scriptures speak about the famines, the insurrections, the wars. All right, invading of houses. All right. So worshiping the image of the beast is being in compliance with your local government. All right, so I'll leave that there. Let's see. Oh, I got a little video too. Actually, let's click on a video. Let's click a video.
Here we are, Federal Reserve Bank, Miami branch.
Is your alligator okay?
Hasn't slept in weeks. We gotta get our rideshare numbers up. He just needs his energy drink. He'll be fine.
His tail fell off.
Kindly rate us 5 stars, tips welcome.
So, wait, is the Federal Reserve part of the federal government?
It's in the name, ain't it? It's a little more complicated than that. The Fed operates independently of the federal government, but its Board of Governors is nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. And as you might expect, they're not always the best people for the job. The Fed has made a lot of bad decisions over the years. They're just as susceptible to politics as the politicians who put them in power. That's a mighty fine tongue-twisting alliteration you got there, eyebrows. But for a place you claim can print all the money it wants, she don't look like much. Where's the chandeliers at? The champagne? The help passing around hors d'oeuvres with masks on?
That's hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, I don't see any. The Fed doesn't exactly print money. What it does is issue credit to banks, expanding the actual supply of money and creating inflation. This sometimes happens in the form of quantitative easing and other similar policies, which the Fed engages in whenever the market crashes. This is supposed to be rolled back when things get better, but whenever it comes time to do any kind of quantitative tightening, they chicken out because it generally means a market downturn. Instead of seeing a crash as a correction to the market, they try to forestall the next one, making the inevitable collapse all the more worse.
Like juicing up your gator when it should be resting. Don't you insult the mighty gator. He can go forever.
But once the bubble pops, instead of just getting a crash, we get a worse crash plus inflation.
Sounds like we'd all be a lot better off if the Federal Reserve didn't actually exist.
Hopefully you were edified. So next lesson, Shalom.